Oh, man. So check this. My little island out there? Totally mine. Deed in hand, no joke. And then the HOA rolls like they own it. Contractors, bulldozers, the whole circus. Straight up building a hotel on my property while I'm just watching. But yeah, guess who's cashing in on their community resort now? Not with a letter. Not even a phone call. Nah, they rolled in like a damn Hollywood production. First, survey stakes hammered into my shoreline like they were staking a gold claim. Then came the contractors in matching vests. The dump trucks idling at dawn. Bulldozers chewing through the old cedar grove I used to take my kids fishing in. And who was signing the permits? The HOA. My so-called neighbors on the mainland, smug, golf cart riding bureaucrats who've been side-eyeing my island for years like it was an eyesore they needed to develop. I didn't yell. Didn't call the cops. Yet. I just watched. Took photos. Logged every tire track. Every misplaced boundary marker. Every condescending smirk when they saw me standing there in my flannel. Just some old guy. They thought I was harmless. Thought I'd fold. Thought the island was abandoned, or worse, common land. While they broke ground on their luxury lakefront community resort, I was knee-deep in county archives, cross-referencing metes and bounds, digging up century-old easements. Every night, I come home, pour a bourbon, and stare at that glittering construction site where my piece used to be, and smile. Because here's what they didn't know. That island isn't just land. It's legally detached from a mainland HOA jurisdiction. And that little resort they built, every brick, every sunbed, every overpriced margarita, it's sitting on my property. Now, their grand opening got delayed. Permits got frozen. And last month, after the judge read my deed out loud in court, watching their faces drain like someone pulled a plug, I signed a lease with them. Yeah, their community resort. It pays me rent. Monthly. With interest. Turns out, the quiet guy on the porch, he owns the whole damn stage. The courtroom wasn't fancy, just a wood panel room in the county annex. Fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets. But the moment the judge asked the HOA president to explain how they'd secured development rights to the island, the air went cold. He stammered something about implied access and community benefit. I didn't say a word. Just slid my great-grandfather's deed across the table. Original ink, notarized in 1912, with a hand-drawn plat map that matched GPS coordinates to the foot. You should have seen their faces. The same people who'd waved at me from their golf carts while their contractors tore up my shoreline, now they wouldn't even look up. One woman actually whispered, "But we already sold season passes." The judge didn't yell. Didn't need to. One raised eyebrow, one dry. You build a commercial structure on private, non-adjacent land without consent? And their whole house of cards collapsed. But here's where I surprised even myself. Instead of demanding demolition, which would have cost them millions and left me with a scarred island, I offered a lease. 10 years. Triple market rate. With a clause. Any violation of terms, and the resort reverts to me, lock, stock, and tiki bar. They signed it the same day. Now, my mailbox fills with rent checks from the very people who tried to erase me. And the resort's new welcome sign? It still says Lakeview Community Resort, but right beneath it, in smaller, elegant script, operated under license from J. Marlowe Properties. I walk past it sometimes, just to watch the staff scramble when they see me. Some nod nervously. Others pretend not to notice. But I always smile, because they finally understand. I wasn't the obstacle to their dream. I was the owner of the ground it stands on. And if they think this is over, well, let's just say my lawyer's already reviewing their noise ordinance complaints from last weekend's pool party. Funny how justice echoes. After the lease signing, I didn't throw a party, didn't post anything online, didn't even mention it at the mailbox. But word spread faster than Lake Miss in the morning. Suddenly, the same neighbors who voted for the resort for all started avoiding eye contact. The HOA board stopped sending me violation notices about my dock length or excessive tree cover. My trash cans, placed neatly at the curb 2 days early, every week, by their volunteers. It was surreal, like I'd become a ghost they'd wronged, and now I haunted their sense of control. But I didn't gloat. That's the key. The real power isn't in shouting, it's in stillness. I kept my routine. Morning coffee on the porch, kayak at dusk, lights out by 10. But now, when I walk past a resort's gate, just a casual stroll, hands in pockets, they freeze. Staff check their clipboards like I might audit their towel count. The HOA president actually backed his golf cart into a hydrant last week trying to avoid crossing my path. I let them sweat because I've got something better than revenge, leverage. That rent check? It's not just income. It's a monthly reminder that their comfort depends on my silence. And I've already instructed my attorney to quietly document every misstep. Unpermitted fireworks, late-night noise, even that suspiciously overgrown hedge blocking a fire lane. Not to attack, just to own the option. The psychology's simple. When people realize you hold the ground beneath their feet, not just literally, but legally, financially, morally, they stop seeing you as a nuisance. They see you as the variable they can't control. And in a neighborhood built on control, that's absolute power. Last weekend, a new family moved in down the street. Young couple, nice dog, big dreams of lake life. The HOA gave him the usual welcome packet. Rules, dues, committee invites. But the wife pulled me aside at the marina, voice low. "Mr. Marlowe, is it true what they say about the island?" I just smiled, handed her a fishing lure I'd tied myself, and said, "Enjoy the water, ma'am. It's a beautiful place when people respect the boundaries." She nodded like she'd just been handed a secret key. I walked away knowing the game's not over. It's just that now, I'm the only one who knows the rules. Winning in court was one thing. Owning the peace afterward, that's the real art. I hired a land use attorney, not to fight, but to fortify. We quietly filed a conservation easement on the island, locking it under environmental protection in my name. No future HOA vote, no community vision. No developer loophole can touch it now. The island stays wild. No more bulldozers. No docks beyond my original footprint. No amplified music drifting across the water. Just trees, birds, and the occasional ripple from my kayak. But the masterstroke? I donated a public easement for pedestrian access only to the county, not to the HOA, not to the resort, to the people. Locals can now walk a narrow trail around the island's edge, picnic at the old stone overlook, the one they try to pave over. Even fish in the shore, as long as they follow the posted rules. Suddenly, I'm not the reclusive landowner. I'm the guardian of a shared treasure. And the HOA, they're stuck managing a luxury resort that can't expand, can't block public access, and literally pays rent to man they tried to erase. Every family that brings their kids to watch the sunset on my island now sees that little brass plaque. Preserved in perpetuity by J. Marlowe. The neighbors don't talk about me much anymore, at least not in meetings. But I hear whispers at the gas station, the post office. He could have ruined them, but he chose to protect the lake instead. That's the shift. From threat to steward. From outsider to institution. And I've started hosting one event a year. Low-key by invitation only. Local historians, conservationists, a few quiet neighbors who never joined the crusade against me. We share stories by the fire pit, under the stars, on ground that's been mine for over a century. No speeches, no grandstanding, just presence. The HOA watches from across the water. They send a rep sometimes, standing awkwardly at the edge of the light. I always offer them a chair. They never take it, but they're learning. Real power doesn't roar. It roots. And mine runs deeper than their bylaws ever could. They thought this was about a hotel. It was never about that. It was about who gets to decide what belongs to whom, especially when the community suddenly decides your piece is their playground. They saw an island. I saw generations. My grandfather taught me to read the water's edge like a ledger, where the currents shift, where the base hide, where the ice holds in February. That's not just property. That's memory made physical. Now, when I walk that public trail, my trail on my terms, I see kids skipping stones where their bulldozers once idled. I hear laughter where there used to be the whine of excavators. And every quarter, a clean, crisp check arrives from the resort's management company. I cash it without emotion. It's not revenge. It's rent. And rent is just another word for respect. Paid in installments. The HOA's new president sent me a note last month. Polite, apologetic, even. Asked if I considered joining their advisory committee on shoreline preservation. I wrote back one line. The island speaks for itself. Listen closely. I didn't sign it. Didn't need to. Because here's what they'll never fully grasp. Control isn't about owning the loudest voice. It's about holding the silence so well that everyone else starts hearing their own echo and wondering if they were wrong all along. I'm 55. I built nothing flashy. I've demanded nothing dramatic. But I protected something rare, a place where the only thing louder than the loons is the truth. And the truth? It doesn't need a megaphone. It just needs ground to stand on. Mine hasn't moved an inch.